Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back into my latest video. If you guys have been following along with me over these past few weeks, you already know what I'm going to be speaking about today, which is going to be 5 wide receivers to target late in your fantasy football drafts. To qualify for this list, what I did is these players are currently outside of the ADP and half point PPR on Fantasy Pros. They are outside the top 36 wide receivers. This is as of July 19th. So these players are going currently as wide receiver fours in 12 team leagues. Also, too, I did not want to repeat and talk about any wide receivers that are in their third season. If you guys did not watch my top year three wide receiver video, you guys should go back and check that out if you want to hear what I have to say on those players. Other than that, let's just go ahead and dive right into this list. The first guy I'm going to be speaking about is going to be Xavier Worthy, the rookie wide receiver out of Texas who broke the combine record with the 40-yard dash time of 4.21. Looking at what he did at Texas in 3 seasons, he had 197 receptions, 2,755 receiving yards, and 26 touchdowns. Now, when you look at the situation that he's going to be in, he's going to be competing with Marquise Brown and Rashee Rice for targets in the offense, but a couple notes on both those guys. Obviously, we should all know Marquise Brown is injury prone. He could be out of the lineup at any point during the season, which would increase Xavier Worthy's value. And then Rashee Rice has gotten in some trouble this offseason. We'll have to see if he'll get a suspension either this season. Sometimes these things can play out. They might want to wait for it to work out in the court system, and then the NFL might come in and suspend him. Could happen this season. It could even be in the 2025 season that we see Rashee Rice suspended. So that's a situation to keep an eye on. And then obviously why I really like Xavier Worthy outside of I like his speed. He's playing with Patrick Mahomes, right? So that's why I like him. I think he offers a super high upside. It sounds like already in the first week of practice this week at training camp, he's already developing chemistry with Mahomes. So if that can quickly develop and that can quickly translate at the beginning of this year, he might be able to provide you value at the beginning of the year. But like I'm going to say, because I'm talking about a group of rookies here, mostly rookies. There's one second-year wide receiver I'm going to talk about today. Sometimes the rookies might need a month or two before they, make an impact in their first year. But I definitely think Xavier Worthy is a guy that you should have on your bench. And then if he quickly does develop that chemistry with Patrick Mahomes, you got a high end wide receiver two for you in your lineups. The second wide receiver I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to go with Keon Coleman, the rookie wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. Now, he spent 2 seasons at Michigan State, but this past year he played for Florida State. The one season at Florida State, he had 50 receptions for 658 yards and 11 touchdowns. Now, why I like him is he's entering the situation where Stephon Diggs has left Buffalo, so that just vacated a lot of targets in that passing attack, as well as Gabe Davis is out of Buffalo. He's down in Jacksonville now, so there are targets for the taking in this Buffalo passing attack. I can see games where Keon Coleman would have the most targets. He could end up by the end of the season leading the Buffalo in targets if he can quickly develop chemistry with Josh Allen. Now, his main competition for targets is going to be Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, and the two tight ends Dalton Schultz and Dawson Knox. And why I really like Keon Coleman is he's going to be that big body presence for Josh Allen when they get down into the red zone. You're not going to really probably see him target a Curtis Samuel or Khalil Shakir in a jump ball situation. Now, Dawson Knox and Dalton Schultz, those will be guys that will compete for those red zone targets. But if that works out for him, I see him where he can finish with double digit touchdowns. Maybe he might finish underneath 1,000 yards, but I think he has potential to finish with 10 plus touchdowns this year, and that's why I really like the opportunity to grab him because of that value. And like I said, if this all works out for him, you could see him where he is the number one wide receiver and being a potential high end wide receiver two in your lineups. The number 3 wide receiver I want to talk about is going to be the rookie wide receiver for the Chargers, Ladd McConkey. In his 3 seasons at Georgia, he had 119 receptions, 1,687 receiving yards, and then also he provided value in the ground game for them. He had 216 rushing yards, and he finished with 18 touchdowns. And this is another situation where you can see a rookie wide receiver by the end of the year lead his team in targets, because similar kind of to Keon Coleman, he's entering a situation where Keenan Allen's no longer there, as well as Mike Williams. So there's a bunch of vacated targets that he can grab. And what I like about him is, it sounds like he picked up the offense pretty quickly in OTAs. We'll have to see if that carries over to the training camp and into the season. But the way he can work like on the boundary and he can work inside the slot, I view him as a potential PPR machine where he can rack up targets and rack up receptions. Now his main competition is going to be Josh Palmer, DJ Chark, and Quentin Johnston. Guys that, maybe I like Josh Palmer, but other than that, like, it's going to be an open path for him to lead this offense. And like I said, I like him as a PPR machine. For those that did not I say this all the time, but I play in leagues that we do 3 wide receivers. I usually try to get like an elite wide receiver 1, a trusty wide receiver 2. In that third spot, I always try to get a guy that's going to be peppered with targets and can just rack up those PPR points. And I think that's an opportunity for Ladd McConkey to provide value in fantasy football as a rookie. Moving into my next wide receiver, I'm going to talk about another rookie. As you guys can see, when I get to my bench, I'm always trying to go for high ups. As far as the wide receiver position, I'm typically trying to go for young wide receivers, either in their first, second, obviously their third year wide receivers. But I try to go for young wide receivers that have a high upside, where if they can hit, they can end up being help you win some of your leagues. So speaking on this rookie wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars, he had 3 seasons at LSU, which he got majority of his production this past season, but he finished with 1,897 receiving yards and 24 touchdowns. Now, this is another place where there are some vacated targets. They no longer have Zay Jones. Calvin Ridley left to Tennessee. Now, he's going to be competing with Christian Kirk, who will get his fair share of targets. Evan Ingram will get his fair share of targets. And we'll see how Gabe Davis does work into the offense. But if he can, just like I've been saying the last with all these rookie wide receivers, if he can quickly develop chemistry with Trevor Lawrence and that his play quickly translates over to the NFL and he showed that he can be a wide receiver 1 in the offense, there's an opportunity where he could maybe potentially lead this team in targets. Now, I will say with him, you may want to be patient. This might be a player where you need to stash him and be patient with him, and he's going to pay off at the second half of the schedule as he gets acclimated within the offense, as he continues, because they're going to give Gabe Davis an opportunity because they did pay him money. They're paying money to Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. But if this rookie shows that he has what it takes to be a true wide receiver 1, and as a rookie, all of a sudden you got a guy that can be a high-end wide receiver 2, maybe works his way as a low-end wide receiver 1. That's how much I believed in him when I was doing my scouting in wide receivers back in the spring. So I really like what Brian Thomas Jr. can bring as a rookie for your fantasy football rosters. Moving into the final guy, he's not a rookie. He's actually going to be entering his second season. It's going to be Michael Wilson out there in Arizona. As a rookie, he had 38 receptions, 565 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. And that's when Kyler Murray, missed like the first half of the year last season, and he was able to get to over 500 yards on 38 receptions. Even if he can get up, you would think if he doubles, he gets up to 60 receptions, he can get over 1,000 yards this season. And like I mentioned, I really like what I saw from him last year. He was fantasy relevant. Now his main competition for targets this season, it's going to be kind of a crowded competition. Obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be the lead guy, which before I even mention these other names, I like that they got Marvin Harrison Jr. because I think he's going to really make an impact, which should draw coverage to Marvin Harrison, and that's going to give one-on-one opportunities for Michael Wilson to thrive within the offense. Now, they signed Zay Jones. They got Greg Dortch. I know there's a lot of people that like Greg Dortch out there. I prefer Michael Wilson over him, in my opinion. And then they got the tight end, too, Trey McBride. But this time around, why I do like Michael Wilson for his potential impact is he did show some good things when he didn't even get Kyler Murray for a full season. This year, he's got a full season. I assume that the two of them have been working together throughout the offseason. So if they can carry over that chemistry that we did see at the back end of last year into this year, Michael Wilson could potentially hit the ground running, where he can potentially slide in to your lineup as a weekly starter. But I think I like what he can bring as a bench guy. If injuries happen, I like that you could put him in. When the bye weeks come around, I like that you can put him in. But if he, like I mentioned, if he can continue the chemistry that we saw last year, if he can feed off having Marvin Harrison Jr. in that lineup where he can win his one-on-one matchups on the other side of the offense, I think all of a sudden you got a guy that has the potential to get over 1,000 receiving yards. Maybe only might get 5 to 7 touchdowns, but I think that should be great value for where he is currently going in fantasy football drafts. So yeah, that is my 5 wide receivers to target late in your fantasy football drafts videos. If you guys enjoyed this video, as I always say, hit the like button. Make sure you do subscribe to this channel and all my other social media platforms so you guys can get all the content that I'll be coming out with. You guys should know the next video I'm going to be doing, it's going to be on the tight ends to target late in your fantasy football drafts. And then I think I'm going to do a kicker video because that did very well for me last year. Seemed like a lot of people liked what I had to say on that. And then I'll have to see what my calendar's looking like. I got a wedding, a good friend's wedding that I'm going to here in about a week and a half. So I'll be MIA. But then when I get back for you guys, I will be doing my tier/rankings for all these position groups ahead of these drafts in August. I hope you guys enjoy your day, your night, your weekend, your week, depending on when you're watching this. I'll talk to you soon. Peace out.